Okay, in this video, we are talking to all of the girlies who are working out 6 to 7 days a week and you are still not seeing results. Maybe you're tired, you're fatigued, your body's just not looking the way that you want it to. So in this video, we're gonna break down all of the reasons why that might be. But before we dive into it, welcome back to another episode of Twofold. We're really excited to have you here. Yeah, so just sort of looking back on like my own experience before I became a certified Pilates instructor, long before, but I used to literally have the mindset that if I didn't work out for a full hour, my workout literally didn't count. So my brain even told me that doing like a 40-minute Pilates class was somehow not enough and that it wouldn't result in results and that it was just not an effective workout. And like the same thing if I wasn't dripping, sweating, my heart rate wasn't super elevated. I literally thought that it wasn't enough to count as a workout. And I know you've had that same experience. If you want to share a little bit about how you've kind of changed your mindset over the years with working out.
Yeah, I definitely had the same approach, thinking that if I wasn't, dripping in sweat, it wasn't a good workout. But then even as I moved into more strength training, I got into this trap of thinking, if I wasn't hip thrusting 200 pounds and really sore the next day, that I didn't actually move my body and it wasn't an effective workout. And it's only as I've kind of started to think about movement and what feels good in my body and also in my mind and connect more to that side rather than having it just be purely about, the physical movements, that I've really started to change the way that I see it altogether and in turn how I've felt in my body.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think a big shift too is just learning more about the female body and the fact that we are not little men. We actually have so many hormones that control so many different things in our bodies. Men have one hormone, which is testosterone. So if you're comparing yourself to the men in your life or you're trying to work out how and when and as intense and as long as men, chances are you're probably not feeling good. So shorter workouts really are like the secret sauce for women when it comes to working out. And I know this not just from experience of I used to be the person who had to work out an hour a day, but I have over the last few years shifted my workout. My workouts are 30 minutes, sometimes less, and I have never felt better, felt more energized, or looked the way that I wanted to look. So I've also had an acupuncturist tell me this. I know not everybody believes in acupuncture. Some people think it's woo-woo, but I really do believe in the power of acupuncture. And I remember he told me, do not ever work out more than 30 minutes. It's really hard on your hormones as a woman. It can be the reason why your cycle may be off or even why you have really intense, painful periods. That's very normal, but it's not how it should be. Unfortunately, it's the norm, but it's not how it should be. It's not how our bodies are meant to be. And especially if you're trying to get pregnant, these long workouts are just not going to be serving your body.
Yeah, I think the really cool thing about that too, Caroline, is that you actually have the evidence to support that. It's not just something that somebody said to you and, you actually did a lot of hormone testing through your egg freezing journey. And we did a whole nother video on that if you want to go and check that out. But you really saw the impact of slowing your workouts down and what that had on your hormones. And just to go back to your point about we're not little men, I think it's so true. I used to wake up at the crack of dawn, slam a double espresso and go straight to the gym. And I would wonder why I wasn't really feeling great throughout the day, or I just felt so frantic. And as I have kind of slowed my workouts down and I'm doing less intense, I just feel a lot more grounded in myself. And that in turn has allowed me to be more consistent across all areas of my life, right? Across all habits, whether that be rest, nutrition. It's not this kind of yo-yo up and down kind of feeling. And I know that's because I'm not spiking my cortisol right first thing in the morning and just sending myself on this roller coaster all day. So we want to break down for you kind of how we do our workouts and structure them and just give you a little framework for it.
Yeah, so we call it the twofold move method. This is just from experience. It's also with science. I think there's a big part that people don't realize, which is how important recovery is. So naturally, when your workouts are shorter, it gives your body more time to recover. And it's in recovery that you're actually building muscle, because when you're working out, you're actually breaking down your muscle fibers and then they rebuild and they grow bigger and stronger when you give it enough time to rest. And women just need more rest than men. It's just the way that we are built. It's not to say that we're weak. It's not to say that we're fragile. It's just how our bodies are designed. And so our twofold move method is a combination of strength, because it is really important to build lean muscle for so many different reasons. Muscle plays such a vital role in your body. Maybe we can make another video about that. I don't think we have time in this video to discuss that, but the twofold move muscle does focus on strength. But like Annabelle said, we're not going for PRs. We're not hip thrusting. It's very inclusive. It's very accessible. You can use dumbbells to build muscle. And then it combines Pilates, which is a lot lighter. You're still building muscle, but it's a lot more stability, core engagement, flexibility, alignment. And so the combination of these two types of workouts is really, really effective for women. And the reason for that is because we're not spiking our cortisol, our inflammation is not high. And so we've just seen with ourselves, with friends, with like family that we've shared this method with, that it really, really works well for women. Annabelle, if there's someone wondering, like if they're working out too much, but they're not sure, because I've been in that position before. I'm like, maybe I am, maybe I'm not, I don't know. What are some like symptoms that we feel in our body that can be a sign of overexercise that people might totally like miss and not even think about?
Yeah, that's such a good question, because I feel like sometimes you don't necessarily correlate your symptoms directly to the workout. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that immediately after your workout you don't feel well. But I think just over time, if you're recognizing that, for example, you're having a lot of PMS symptoms or even irregular cycles, you are having crazy cravings, there's a lot of food noise, all these things, and just kind of an underlying sense of anxiety, all these things can be coming back to work overtraining. And I want to stress the message that, we're not fragile, right? Like, I don't think that that's good messaging either. We are very resilient, but if you can learn to work with your hormones and in a way that, allows you to support your hormones, it actually is what allows you to build consistency over time. And that's where you will really see the long-term effects, and you'll be able to build strength consistently, because you won't be just taken out for a week because of your period or etc. So I think those are kind of the main things to look out for. Caroline, is there anything that you want to add that you found personally?
I would say like sleep issues. I think some people are of the mindset that, oh, if I work out more, I'll be more tired, so I'll sleep better. I remember when I was working out too much. I had like terrible insomnia, and it wasn't until I scaled back that my sleep started to improve. And then also like inflammation, if you constantly feel bloated, I think a lot of people often associate bloating with what they're eating. But that can just be a sign of stress in the body, a sign of, your body's not balanced, and that could be coming from your workout. So I hope that like us saying this is maybe making you think, maybe making you reflect on if you're working out too much. And then there's also just, the point of working out with your hormones and according to your cycle. I know we've talked about this before, which is cycle syncing. And we can make another video where we dive much deeper, because that's not really the topic of this video. But learning how to move according to your cycle is so important. And I think it's where so many women get trapped. And I know I've been here before where, like I start a new workout program, but then it's like the week before my period and my body's not feeling it, but I'm like, no, I can't fall off track. I need to be disciplined. And we think that discipline means doing more, when in reality, discipline means working better with your body. And that can mean slowing it down and just doing a walk or doing a yoga flow or doing a light Pilates workout. It doesn't mean sticking to the plan and doing more and putting more effort in. So I think that's a big one. And that's something I've seen in my life, is the second that I start to work with my body and in flow of my cycle, I feel so much better, mentally, physically, everything.
Yeah, I think that kind of brings to one of our final points, is that the power in this is also teaching you to actually learn how to listen to your body. And I think sometimes when you say that to somebody when they're deep in the over-exercising, it's like, what do you mean? Like, that's a lot of that is coming from your mind. So being able to separate your mind telling you, I should work out for X amount of hours per day, I should do this, I should do that. And that's what I had mentioned before about when I slowed my workouts down and have been implementing more of these shorter workouts. It really allowed me to connect with my body in a different way. And that's ultimately what we want to empower you to do, because we do believe in bioindividuality. We can give you, the things that have worked for us, but the real empowering thing is to learn how it feels in your body and to listen to that and then let your body guide you in your own kind of process and structure, rather than feeling like you need to be so attached to, the way that somebody else has done it. And I think that that's kind of what we're aiming for with our twofold program.
I love that. Let's wrap it up there because that was such a good point to end on. But anyways, we hope that you guys found some value in this video. If you have any questions, just let us know in the comments below, and we will see you in the next one.
Yeah, let us know in the comments how you're feeling if you do shorten your workouts, and thank you so much for watching.